and today I'm going to be explaining to you how to cook grains and always in whole form. And I'm going to be starting first off with explaining how to store your grains. So you get it in a grocery store and then you open it up. And this one is the brown basmati rice, which I'm going to explain. You just want to get your glass container and you put it in. And then you label it, and then you have your grains ready to go. And I did this with many other grains, as you can see. I used the sweet brown rice, which we have. And I used the brown rice jasmine. And I also have the medium brown rice. And I have some millet here. And I have some red rice. And I have some white rice. And I have another red rice. And as we can see on our handouts, there are many different rices we can use. There's also black rice, which I don't have available to show today, but it looks very similar in this one here, and it is just black. Okay? And what I'm going to be showing you how to cook today is the quinoa, which cooks only for 20 minutes. Excuse me. And I'm going to be showing you how to cook the medium brown rice. There's also short grain brown rice. And so what I did, I'm going to use my pressure cooker today, which is a very good cooking method for grains, because it cooks the grain much more digestible, opens it up very good. And I'm also going to use another pot which I'm going to put into the pressure cooker, which is a ceramic pot. This one is called Osawa pot, after the Osawa, who is the founder of macrobiotics. And this one goes like that into your pressure cooker. And when everything is done, you put water in it and you close it up and you put it on the stove and you bring it up to a boil and to a simmer, and it will makes a hissing sound. And when that hissing sound comes up, you put it in low and then you pressure cook it for 45 minutes. If you don't have an Osawa pot, you can also use a ceramic bowl or something like that, which will fit into your pressure cooker. Okay? If you don't have a pressure cooker, you don't really need to use this one. You can use a pot like that, which is a very heavy pot, which has a very heavy lid. Le Creuser is the best one to cook your grains in there, or also your beans for that matter. And I will cook the quinoa in this pot. So I'm going to be showing you how to use a pressure cooker and how to use a pot. Is that a good idea for today? Mm-hmm. And what I did with the brown rice, I was soaking the brown rice. I was measuring 2 cups of brown rice. I'm going to show you how to do this. Measure 2 cups of short grain. Now this is the sweet rice. I didn't use this one. I used the medium brown rice. I measure 2 cups. Now I'm going to do 2, showing you how to do it. Put 2 cups in here. Then I take water and I wash the rice. Really nicely. And then you take a container and you strain the rice in there. I take my big strainer and you strain it out like that. This is the first step. The second step, you're going to be filling it with 2 cups of water when you boil it. 2 cups of water. Then one of the things you can do, you can soak your grains like that overnight without doing anything. Just soak it, and then the next day you're discharging the water, or you are using the water again and you boil your grain. But also you can do another way. You can start heating it up for just a little bit, and then you can bring some umeboshi vinegar or some brown rice vinegar. You can put that in, like a few splashes, heat it up, and then you leave that overnight. Okay? And what that does, it helps to open up the grains even more, like soaking does, because the water is first of all warm. So the bran, the 7 layers, will expand easily with warm water. And if you have umeboshi vinegar or brown rice vinegar in your soaking water, that also helps to ferment and help you digest the grain even more. So you can use maybe a splash of lemon if you want to. You can use a little bit of umeboshi vinegar or brown rice vinegar, or if you wish, apple cider vinegar. And it's just a small amount. And it is not boiling the water, it just comes to a little bit of a simmer. And then you put it aside for yourself, and you just save it, okay, overnight. And then in the morning, you discharge the water. And what I'm going to be showing you now, I did this in the Osawa pot, in my ceramic pot. I had 2 cups of rice, brown rice, medium rice, and I used 1.5 cups of water, and I soaked it. First I washed it like I showed you before, and then I soaked it for a couple hours, about 8 hours, right? And then you just, the next day or in the morning, whenever you want to soak it. I found it much easier if you soak your grains in the evening, because like that you have it all ready to go the next day. So you put this back in the ceramic pot you have. And then you can see there is the water is a little bit of yellow. So there are some nutrients, some went out there. Okay, so if you feel like the water is good enough, you can use this same water, and you can use it and cook it in there. If you feel like you have digestive problems with the whole grains, because you have been used to eating white grains and you're not used to the bran, the 7 layers of bran in your intestines, you might want to discharge the water, or you might soak the water the way you're doing it, like that, the grain. You heat up the water and you put some vinegar in there, and that makes it even more digestible. But in the morning or the next day, if you try to use your grain, you would like to discharge it. Give it to your plants or something, right? So, in this way today we can use it. I hope everybody has good digestions here. I'm going to be using it because it looks very beautiful. Okay, putting it aside. And I'm going to show you how to do this. First, I usually put some water in here. Some spring water, always spring water. Okay? And I'm going to be getting some more spring water right now. Because when you're using the pressure cooker and the ceramic cooking device, you would like to use a little bit of water. Because you need somehow like a water bath. Makes sense, right? Because you have been cooking with a water bath before, I assume. Yes. So you put some water in there, some spring water, and so just to half cover the, a third of cover the ceramic pot, and then you try to masterfully bring it in there, and then you take a little bit of sea salt, because we would like to use some sea salt, like a pinch of sea salt per cup. Because it also helps to make the grain more digestible again. So then we're closing it off. If you don't have this nice little pot, which kind of really cutely, I don't know if you can see this up there, how it really nicely closes off. Can you see that in the mirror? How it nicely closes off and it doesn't spill anything. You can just put a plate on there which fits. Okay, and I have seen people do that, and and it works also very good. You know, so it's a good way to do it. And then you put it on your stove here, on your burner, and then you bring it up to a boil. And at the same time, before everything is ready, you're going to put your top back on. There are some ridges in there which you really need to use. And this is a very ancient pressure cooker. It's about 25 years old. Not as old as I am today, but it's a very old pressure cooker. So nowadays you have different ones. You know, if you get a pressure cooker, please look for a stainless steel one. Don't get the aluminum one. So spend some money on a pressure cooker which is a very high quality one, because you get a lot of good uses out of it. You can use it for pressure cooking your grains, and you can also use it to pressure cook your beans sometimes. Okay, and pressure cooking makes the rice open more up. Okay, so this one here is a very nice way to use the ceramic pot, because you kind of boil your grain in the pressure cooker. So it's kind of a milder way of than when you just put your grains in the pressure cooker without the ceramic pot and pressure cook it in the pot like that. So that's a little bit of a nuance, which is maybe a little bit complicated for you right now to understand, because you're just starting off to using your whole grains. But eventually you will understand. If you study more, you will understand more the differences between plain pressure cooking with an Osawa pot, and also boiling. There are some different ways and different energies you are using there for yourself. And I would like you to encourage you to use different ways and explore different ways. Also, when you go through the different seasons, you would like to use different cooking methods, right? So right now we are waiting till the pressure cooker comes up, and you will hear the hissing sound. It goes like shh. That means like there is enough pressure to have this valve here rattle, so we know something is happening. And then you need to be very quick, and you need to use another burner which you put on very low, and then you pressure cook it for 45 minutes. And then you have a beautiful grain, and the grain you can use up to 2 days. Okay, so you can eat that up to 2 days. Sometimes people eat it for 3 days, but the energy is not as good anymore. So it's better if you are eating it fresh, which we are going to be doing today, and that's the best way to eat your grain. If you're on a healing diet, I really suggest for everybody to cook their grains on a daily basis. Cook fresh meals on a daily basis, which is very important. So right now we have a few minutes here. This pot here is going to be soaking overnight, and I'm going to be using that grain in the morning, and I'm going to be boiling it. So, okay. And today for you I would like to also use another grain. First of all, we are still waiting for the pressure to come up. Take a break when it's on. Go. So the question is how many water to use when you cook your grains. So it really depends what your recipe is calling for, and also what you are doing. If you are boiling your rice, you need more water. So 1 cup of rice or 1 cup of grain often needs about 2 cups of water, sometimes even 2.5. Really depends how soft you want to have the grain. If you pressure cook your grain the way we are doing it right now, you need a little bit less water. You need, for 1 cup of grain, you need about 1.5 or 1.25 cup of rice. Depends how tight you want the rice, if you want to have it more soft or less soft. So that's all depending on that. If you pressure cook your rice without your Osawa pot, I suggest that you do at least 2 cups of grain, because 1 cup of grain easily burns. You know, the pressure cooker is a very easy thing to burn your bottom. You need to, the bottom rice. So you need to use a flame tamer, which is a device like that. You use that to put that under your pot. So then the gas will be easily dispersed under it, and you can put a very low flame under it. Okay? Because I have the Osawa pot in my pressure cooker, I'm not going to be burning the rice. There is no chance, because it's not sitting right there on the water or on the heat. So I don't necessarily need this today. But if you are boiling or if you're pressure cooking it without a ceramic insert, you would like to use the flame tamer. It's called flame tamer. You can order them through the website, to go shopping with Gabriele. You can order them, or you can find them maybe in natural food stores or in cooking stores. So right now we can hear the hissing sound. Maybe you want to come closer? So you can hear the hissing sound here on the pressure cooker. I'm going to be using the flame tamer anyway, just to show you how it will be done. Okay. I have several timers which I have in my kitchen. And I use them to measure the amount of time which I'm cooking, so that I don't overdo it. Because sometimes you're cooking 2 or 3 dishes together, so it's a good way to have a couple of timers. Or there is also sometimes a timer on your stove, so that you don't forget what's going on, right? And also a good thing is, if you're cooking, did you hear that? It came up. The safety valve came up. Safety valve. And this one needs to come now up even more for pressure. So this, as I said before, this is a very old pressure cooker, so we have to treat it with care. And there is a ring, a plastic ring around it, and no, it's not plastic, it's gummy. What's gummy in German, in English? Rubber. It's a I'm glad I have a German translator here today in my class. There's a rubber ring around there, and you need to oil that. You need to take care of it. You need to clean the gadgets after each time you're cooking, because sometimes maybe some of the bran will loosen up and it can go around the little holes, and then if there is no air and flow coming in, and then the pressure cooker can be a little bit of a nuisance. It can some things could happen, so you need to have it clean for sure. Don't you know, let it just sit. So we can see it's coming up even more and more, but it needs to be a little bit more. And I have my timer here, so we're going to be pressure cooking it for 45 minutes, and then we're opening it up, and the aroma will come out, and we're going to be eating it. Okay, we're going to be eating just plain brown rice today, and we will chew 100 times each mouthful, just to feel like what it really means to chew brown rice. And we will maybe experience how the brown rice changes in our mouth, how the taste changes. Okay, so we are not eating especially for gourmet reasons. Today we are going to be eating to make tests on ourselves and see how it changes in our mouth. Okay, so can you hear how it's coming up more and more and more? So you want to really have it really nicely coming up, so that you say, oh, I have enough pressure. Because I don't know, I think it's 250 pounds or something like that. There is a, when you get your pressure cooker, you can read how many pounds it is. So can you hear that more and more? And inside the rattling is going on. So if you don't have it fastened as I have, you can have on a plate there and maybe put a rock on the plate, because otherwise when the water boils inside, it might spill over, which is okay too. You know, it's still okay. So it's getting sounding better and better. Can you hear it sounding better and better? And it needs a little bit more of a rattle. Just one more, a little bit. I think I'm not going to use this today because it might go too low, because I don't have enough water in there. So see, it's pretty good. Pressure is pretty good. It's all there. If you get the new ones, you can easily hear how it comes out, and it's very much more quiet, you know, than with this old person here. So you put it on another flamer, and I know some of you have maybe electricity and you don't cook with gas. When you cook with electricity, it's really good to have another burner already on low on the back side, so you can put your pressure cooker from high heat and bring it to a low heat. Because when you use the same flame where you have high on an electric stove, it will take too long to go down, right? So this is good. So I have it now on 3, 4, 3. So, and I put my timer on, definitely 45 minutes, which is a good time in this season here. Spring and fall is good for 45 minutes, also for the summer, you know. And the medium grain rice is a very good grain to eat all year round. Although in the winter, we sometimes eat more short grain brown rice, which is stronger, has more energy, is a smaller grain. Okay, so, but the medium is one of my favorites right now. So, and it's springtime, so we can use the medium grain rice. So this one is going to be taking care of itself now. Please don't lie down and sleep, because your rice will be really sleepy if you do that. You can feel the energy. You want to be in the kitchen, you want to do some activities which are concerning your health and well-being, and also your cooking. Okay, you want to be concentrating on that, you know, because energy is some very important thing, as we're going to be studying later a little bit more of that. Your grains is how you mix and match your grains. You can use the medium brown rice, and you can add some quinoa to it, and you can cook it at the same time as the grain, the grain with the higher cooking needs will need. Is that explained right way? Yes. So the grain, the brown rice, needs a longer cooking time than the quinoa. Quinoa usually needs 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes maximum. But when you mix it together, when you put the brown rice together, like a half cup of brown rice and a half cup of quinoa, you still want to be cooking it as long so that the brown rice gets soft. You can soak it all together, and you can cook it all together. You can also mix the brown rice with the wild rice, which looks really nice. Or you can use the sweet rice together with the brown rice. Or you can use the red rice here together with the brown rice. And then you also can use sometimes the basmati rice by itself, or you can cook it with the wild rice together. So there are many ways to cook and mix your grains together. Okay, but you also can use beans together with your grains, and you would soak it the same way, and you would cook it again the same way. Okay, beans usually, we're going to be talking about beans next time, but I just want to include that you can cook your grains and your beans together, and it makes a delicious dish. Like short grain brown rice with black soybeans is wonderful, or short grain brown rice with aduki beans. It's delicious. So the next dish we're going to be doing is we're cooking quinoa, and we're also going to be putting some edamame in it, which is a soybean, the green soybean, which is a lot of protein today, because quinoa in itself has already a complete protein. It's a grain, very tiny yellow grain, which looks very similar to millet. It's growing in South America, and it's traditional food from the Incas and the Mayas. They used to eat it. And so it's a very ancient grain. It cooks very quickly. You need to wash it thoroughly. You have to wash your hands, right, always, before you start. And you wash it with your hands like that. You try to go in there, clean it out. Because the quinoa has a natural pesticides around it. So you need to wash that off. You sometimes heard that maybe, that some of the food have natural pesticides to protect them from invaders so they can grow. And quinoa is one of them. It's a very simple, easy grain to cook. As I mentioned before with the rice and the hardier grain, the grains which cook longer, you can also soak your quinoa. You don't need to soak it necessarily for 8 hours, because then you will have a lot of mash, because it's such a small, easy to cook grain. So I sometimes just soak it for about 2 to 4 hours, but I always discharge the soaking water because of the preservative it has in it by itself. And you measure your water. For 1 cup of quinoa, you always use about 2 cups of water. And a little bit of salt. And you bring this to a boil. You want to come over? You bring this to a boil. And then after it comes to a boil, you put your timer for about 15 to 20 minutes. Okay? And this time I'm going to be using also the edamame, which I'm not going to be put in till the last 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. But you can also put it in right now if you want to. But I usually wait at least till it comes to a boil, because they don't need a lot of cooking, but they're not going to be damaged if you are they're not going to be damaged if you put them in at the beginning of the cooking methods. Maybe I do it because we might have it all together today for our information. Putting the edamame in. And in this way you have 2 complete proteins. You know, this is a very strong protein dish. For instance, if you are vegan and don't eat any dairy or animal proteins, and some vegans sometimes are worried they don't get enough protein. So this one is a very high quality, complete protein nourishment and dish. And it is delicious. It's really easy to do. Just in 20 minutes. So even if you haven't had the chance the night before to soak any grains, this grain you can make very easy, and you can have in 20 minutes, half an hour, you can have your meal. So when it comes to a boil, you bring it on low, you put it on low, okay? And then you are putting your timer on for 20 minutes. Timer. And afterwards we are going to be opening up everything, and I'm going to be showing it to you, and then we're going to be eating it. Okay, look at the quinoa after 15 minutes. There is still a little bit of water left, and we can try to eat it and see how it tastes. And we can put a little bit more water in it and boil it for another 5 minutes. Please remind me. Some grains, some brown rice here. See, like the little sprouts coming out. And this one not. This one is the beans which I'm going to be making next cooking class. I'm sprouting them for next cooking class. Okay, so but can you see how the sprouts coming up? And that's how the grain grows. Okay, so if you have a whole grain like this one, I used the medium brown rice. This one, I washed it, I soaked it for a night, and then I spread it out, and I was watering it every day twice for about 2 weeks now. It took a long time. First I thought, oh, it doesn't look like it's coming up, but then it came up. And that is a grain which you want to eat whole. That's why you want to eat it whole, because it still has life force in it, right? It has the life force in it, which is so important for you. As soon as you make flour out of your grain, like I showed here before, like the blue corn flour, okay? As soon as you put that, then you lose your energy, you lose your nutrition. Okay? It's a fun thing to do because you might enjoy some dishes, but it shouldn't be your main grain. It can't be your main grain because it's not life enhancing. It's delicious and fun. Okay, so if you have a whole, when you look at a whole circle of grain, okay, so that should be mostly whole grain, and then maybe 5% chips or a cracked wheat or a flour product, or maybe a piece of bread or something a day, you know. But it should be 90% of whole grain you have, and the rest can be like snacks like popcorn or maybe chapati or samosas, right? Does that make sense? Yeah, so but please Otherwise you're losing all the nutrients and you're using it in a form which is very difficult and for your body to decipher again, because it goes like, oh, what am I going to do with this now? You know, this is baked, this is maybe deep fried, this is maybe ground up to mash, you know, so you want to eat it in the best possible way. When you're sprouting your grain, you know, it has different nutrients, you know. You can eat it this way, but also only a small amount, not your main food. Shouldn't be like that. So, are there any questions on this right now? Is this all understood? How important it is to eat the whole grain, the brown rice, the red rice, the white rice, the quinoa, the millet. Is that important to do? Thank you. Off the heat, and it took about 10-15 minutes. Then we open up the pressure cooker. As we can tell, the steam comes out and the water comes out, and we are opening up very gently. You have to watch it, it's a little bit hot. You can take this and kind of masterfully take this out again. And then we have to open sesame, see how this is, and it looks very pretty. Look how nice that looks. It smells really good, right? It's very deliciously smelling. And that way you can even save it in the pressure cooker and in the Osawa pot. You know, you can refrigerate it that way, because you don't really want to use and save your grain in a metal pot. You always want to take it out and store it in a ceramic pot or in a glass container. Never plastic, and also never in a metal, because that energy is too strong for. But generally you're just going to be using this one. I'm going to just show it to you. It looks really nice, you know? So, and we're going to put it aside, and our next dish we're going to be uncovering is going to be our quinoa. I'm going to put this away here. The next dish we're going to be taking out is our quinoa, and you can see it looks very beautiful together with the edamame, and it cooked 20 minutes. So on this we boiled. So, and you don't want to really save it in this pot either. You want to put it in a glass container, and you want to store it in that way in your refrigerator so you can eat it. You know, you can also even serve it in a nice glass container. It looks really nice, and then you can just close it up and put it in the refrigerator when it's after it's cooled. You don't want to have it hot, obviously, right? You want to have it nicely cooled down, and then you will be able to eat it in a good way. Try to put this in here. So, and as you can tell, 1 cup of quinoa gives you a lot of nutrients here. It's like it expands basically to twice as much.